The examples of international solidarity in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic continue, as China donated medical supplies to Africa and Cuba, while Vietnam has donated 550,000 masks to 5 European countries. Residents of the Chinese city of Wuhan have celebrated the upcoming lifting of the 11-week lockdown. The US state of Wisconsin held its Democratic primary as scheduled on Tuesday, despite the coronavirus epidemic. From the headquarters of Telesur English in Havana, Cuba, this is From the South, and I'm Katrina Goss. China continues to provide international support to fight the coronavirus pandemic. A team of 12 Chinese medical experts arrived in Manila on Sunday to assist the Philippines' efforts in this regard.
It is a novel disease. It's new meaning, but it is China who has the ample experience in combating this, having seen Wuhan go through the hardships for the last few months, and haven't seen the number of people who have been affected, and also the flattening of the curve or the plateau of those who are infected in China. So therefore, the best people to learn how to combat this would be the doctors from China.
Another shipment of Chinese medical supplies arrived in Accra, the capital of Ghana, on Monday and will be distributed to 17 other African countries within a few days. The Chinese ambassador to Ghana, Wang Shiting, said that China's current efforts show its commitment to its relations with Africa and further strengthen historic ties. Since the novel coronavirus arrived in Africa, China has overcome its own difficulties to actively assist the African Union and African countries with medical supplies and organise video conferences for medical experts to share their experiences. The urgently required shipment of vital supplies includes personal protective equipment, masks and protective suits.
Even though China is not yet out of the woods, it has undoubtedly amassed invaluable experience in the fight against this virus since its outbreak. And we are sure that Ghana, like many other African countries, can benefit from those experiences.
China's first donation of medical supplies for Cuba's fight against the COVID-19 virus arrived to the island this Tuesday. China's ambassador to Cuba, Chen Shi, and Cuban Deputy Minister of Health, Luis Fernando Navarro, officially received the supplies at the Ministry of Public Health in Havana. The Chinese donation includes face masks, infrared thermometers, and protective suits to fight the COVID-19 epidemic. 10,000 suits and the same number of masks were donated by Yongtong, a Chinese transport company with a significant presence in Cuba. Vietnam has donated 550,000 masks to 5 European countries to support their fight against the novel coronavirus. The masks were handed to the ambassadors of France, Germany, Italy, Spain and Britain in Hanoi, according to the Vietnamese Foreign Ministry. Vietnam has reported almost 250 COVID-19 cases but no fatalities. The country has also donated masks and medical equipment to other nations, including China, Cambodia and Laos. Vietnam has also asked its mask producers to step up their production in order to make 5 million masks a day. Residents of Wuhan took to the streets as the 11-week lockdown of the Chinese city was lifted, with no new COVID-19 cases reported there, according to authorities. The occasion was marked with a light show on either side of the Yangtze River, with animated images of health workers aiding patients projected onto skyscrapers and bridges, along with one displaying the words "Heroic City." Along the embankments and bridges, residents cheered and chanted as they gathered to watch and film the light show. Wuhan was put on lockdown on January 23rd as the epidemic intensified, but with the situation now largely under control, authorities are set to restart outbound travel services from the capital of Hubei province on Wednesday. However, residents will only be allowed to travel outside of the city and Hubei province if they have a green health code, which indicates they are symptom-free. This Tuesday, China reported no new deaths due to the novel coronavirus over the past 24 hours and just 32 new cases, all involving people who returned to the country from overseas. Another 12 suspected COVID-19 cases, also all imported, were being kept under observation, along with an additional 30 asymptomatic cases.
Currently, the domestic epidemic has been sporadic in recent days, while the epidemic in Europe and America is still developing fast. The number of existing imported cases has surpassed the domestic existing number, which has brought pressure to the cities of entries in medical treatment, epidemic investigation, nucleic acid tests, and isolation facilities.
In Galicia, northern Spain, a businessman was arrested for the alleged theft of 2 million protective masks that he apparently sold in Portugal. The man reportedly met with some Portuguese citizens to whom he sold the medical supplies. Spain is the second country in the world with the highest number of deaths from COVID-19, with more than 13,000 deaths so far. For the last 3 weeks, the availability of medical supplies for professionals and patients has been an urgent need in many hospitals, as they are overwhelmed with the large amount of coronavirus patients. Spain continues to be one of the countries worst affected by the novel coronavirus. However, the number of new cases and fatalities had appeared to be slowing until this Tuesday. Our correspondent in Madrid, Adriana Cardosa, brings us more details on the situation there.
Greetings from Madrid. With 743 new fatalities in the last 24 hours, the positive trend in the falling number of fatalities in Spain has stopped. However, the health authorities stated that this small rise can be explained by the fact that over this weekend, the data on new deaths wasn't collected with the same accuracy, which is why the figures collected between Monday and Tuesday tend to show a rise in the number of new fatalities. In total, 13,798 people have been killed by COVID-19 in the country, and there are more than 140,500 cases in the country. The Ministry of Health also highlighted that the trend should be under 800 new fatalities per day and continue to fall, but we will have to wait to see what happens in the next couple days. They have also pointed out that there are 2 other positive pieces of data that show Spain is in that downward trend, and these are the number of new people hospitalized in the past 24 hours, which is also falling, and the number of people already hospitalized who require admission to the ICU or intensive care units. Here in Madrid, in the community of Madrid, which is the epicenter in Spain with the largest number of cases and fatalities, the government has announced that there are some hospitals which are considered to be secondary level hospitals that are going to be restored to their normal functions to again offer usual healthcare services and not focus only on coronavirus care. But the government has also pointed out that despite its positive news, intensive care units located in the community of Madrid continue to work overloaded, and there are still several weeks to go before this situation comes to an end.
Italy's Coronavirus Emergency Commissioner, Dominican Republic, has appealed to Italians not to lower their guard and to respect the lockdown, which is now in its 5th week.
Nei prossimi giorni che ci separano dalla Pasqua,
in the next few days that lead up to Easter, don't ever forget, even for an instant, that this invisible, strong and unknown virus has taken 16,523 lives up until yesterday. I repeat, 16,523. 16,523. That is the reason why I beg you once again to not erase this number from your memory. 16,523.
Ecco perché torno a supplicarvi nelle prossime ore, nei prossimi giorni.
Be careful with the illusions and mirages. We are not a few steps from exiting the emergency. We are not close to that hypothetical X hour that will quickly bring us back to how things were before. Nothing could be more wrong than fantasizing about an imminent moment to free us all, where each one of us, from one day to the next, goes back to their old habits.
Che ci riporterà con un battito di ciglia alla situazione.
More stories coming up after this short break, so don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. New York continues to be the epicenter of the COVID-19 outbreak in the United States, with more than 138,000 confirmed coronavirus cases, as State Governor Andrew Cuomo confirmed on Tuesday. The number of new hospital admissions in the state has almost doubled.
Bad news is 5,489 New Yorkers have lost their lives to this virus. That is up from 4,758. That is the largest single-day increase. And we talk about numbers, but that's 731 people who we lost. Behind every one of those numbers is an individual, is a family, is a mother, is a father, is a sister, is a brother. So a lot of pain.
The Democratic primary in the U.S. state of Wisconsin went ahead as scheduled on Tuesday, despite the coronavirus epidemic. In the midst of the pandemic, Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers issued an executive order on Monday to postpone the vote until June 9th and extend the deadline for absentee ballots until the 5th day immediately preceding the new in-person election date. The Wisconsin Supreme Court blocked the governor's executive order on the same day, which meant the primary went ahead as planned, representing a victory for the state's Republicans, who control the Wisconsin legislature. Governor Evers stressed that the decision meant thousands had to choose between exercising their right to vote and staying safe. This was the first in-person primary voting to take place during the coronavirus pandemic. Cuban health authorities reported 46 new COVID-19 cases on Tuesday, bringing the total number of positive cases to 396, while there have been 11 deaths. Meanwhile, Chile and Ecuador continue to be among the worst affected countries in the Latin American region. Chile has reported over 5,000 cases, while Ecuador has confirmed 3,700. Peru has reported over 2,500 cases and has seen 92 deaths, while the death toll in Mexico rose to 125, with over 2,400 confirmed cases. According to Johns Hopkins University, these countries are followed on the American continent by Panama and Argentina, with 2,100 cases and 1,628 cases, respectively. Both Panama and Argentina have reported 55 fatalities. The Dominican Republic has now reported almost 2,000 cases of the novel coronavirus, while the Ministry of Health has denounced illegal sales of rapid tests to detect COVID-19. Our correspondent in the Dominican Republic, Daisy Toussaint, brings us the details.
Saludos en estudios a todos nuestros televidentes en República Dominicana.
Greetings to you in the studio and our viewers. On Tuesday, the Dominican Minister of Public Health denounced that several companies have covered up irregular sales of rapid tests to detect COVID-19, and that prices range from $45 to $800. The minister stated that this is illegal and that the Ministry of Public Health will not allow it. Any imported product requires official sanitary approval from the Directorate General of Drugs and Pharmaceuticals in order to be put into circulation. During the press conference held daily via video link, the Ministry of Public Health reported in its 19th update that up until April 6th, the Dominican Republic has reported 1,956 confirmed cases of COVID-19, of which 241 are isolated in hospitals. 36 have recovered and 98 have died. Up until the last briefing, 55 cases of coronavirus were reported among health personnel. At least 4 inmates of the La Victoria State Penitentiary tested positive for the coronavirus, 2 of whom died due to the disease, and 21 inmates have respiratory symptoms. On March 20, Dominican President Danilo Medina decreed a curfew to slow the spread of the coronavirus within the national territory. However, in the 18 days of that measure, 29,284 people have been detained for failing to comply with the curfew. Meanwhile, in the neighboring country of Haiti, health authorities confirmed a new case of COVID-19 today, for a total of 25 cases and 1 fatality since the first case of the disease was reported on March 18. This is all the information we have so far. Back to you in the studio.
Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has issued instructions to hospitalize all the confirmed COVID-19 cases currently isolated in their own homes in order to reduce the risk of infection and contain the spread of the coronavirus in the country. Maduro announced the decision after learning of a new case detected in the past 24 hours in Miranda State of a woman who was infected by her brother who was isolated at home. According to the president, Venezuela has managed to contain the spread of the epidemic due to the measures adopted so far. He stressed that the move was intended to prevent people infecting their loved ones and ensure that they receive the best possible care in a medical facility. Former President of Ecuador, Rafael Correa, has stressed that the recent ruling against him on corruption charges, sentencing him to 8 years in prison, is a move to prevent him from returning to politics in his home country.
Well, we expected it. I have 31 criminal proceedings opened against me. They are desperate to condemn me for something so I cannot register to stand in the upcoming elections. This is the objective. And look, in the midst of such a pandemic, such danger, such a catastrophe, Ecuador is the worst country in terms of handling the coronavirus crisis in the region. In Latin America, the dead lay unburied in the streets, gatherings are prohibited. They held this hearing going against their own orders to sentence me. And really, it is a case in which the rule of law would be impossible. There are no bribes. And worse, still is the idea that I have knowingly participated in anything illegal.
Correa also stressed that the sentence is a bid to distract attention from the Ecuadorian government's mishandling of the coronavirus pandemic.
Firstly, it is a smokescreen to try to conceal the distraught people from the disastrous management of the crisis. I would like to say it in another way. I'm not a traditional politician. I do not care about the political future. If they were doing things well, I would be the first to applaud. We are talking about life. We are the country that objectively, the statistics show it, has handled the crisis worse, and they are leading us towards a disaster. We have already gone from a crisis to a catastrophe, to a complete disaster.
And we're taking one last break now, but stay with us for more. Welcome back to From the South. The Syrian government has closed schools, colleges and universities in order to prevent the spread of the COVID-19 virus. However, the Ministry of Education has decided to provide alternatives through social media and television programs. More in the following report.
Schools and universities close their doors until next April 16th, a period that could be extended to avoid the spread of the new coronavirus. That's why teachers keep working, but not in the traditional classroom. They're using social networks to reach their pupils. The goal is to prevent a bigger disruption in the students' lives.
Without any doubt, the decision to close the teaching centers as part of the preventive plan, it has been effective and has contributed to keep the cases of contagions in Syria at lower levels. The joint work of the educational and technical personnel has made possible 12 hours of live broadcasting or streaming every day. In spite of the moderate resources that we have, we continue supporting our students and teaching them.
The virtual educational platform and the Syrian educational television channel stream and broadcast classes throughout the day. With this alternative, little resources and limited logistics capabilities, teachers and students of all grades can continue the school course in a safe and interactive environment.
We communicate with students using social networks. We also teach live on the Syrian educational television channel. We are trying to continue the educational process in these circumstances. We are working for the students. Through the phone, the students raise their questions, and the teachers answer and explain the topic either on social media or television broadcasting. The lack of equipment is a challenge. We cannot import the technology we need due to the sanctions. That's why we need to repair the old equipment and keep using them.
The constant blackouts and the low speed of the internet are some of the obstacles that the virtual learning platform faces, consequences of the long war and the non-stop Western economic blockade, a reality that teachers and students, with the support of the government, face with patience and dedication. The terrorist war that has hit this country for more than 9 years did not stop the will of educating children and young students. If the war could not stop this noble purpose, the new coronavirus will not be able to do so. That's the spirit of the teachers and students that use technology to tackle the new challenge that this pandemic represents.
Iran has reported 133 COVID-19 deaths in the past 24 hours, bringing a total to over 3,800.
According to the definitive laboratory findings, and from yesterday to April 7, 2,089 new patients with COVID-19 have been identified, taking the number of patients with this disease to 62,589. Unfortunately, in the past 24 hours, 133 COVID-19 patients have lost their lives, and a total of 3,872 people have died in the country to date due to the disease.
The African continent has now confirmed more than 10,000 cases of the novel coronavirus. The figure was released by the Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. 52 of Africa's 54 countries have now reported the presence of the virus, with the island nation of Sao Tome and Principe the latest to confirm cases. Only the small kingdom of Lesotho and the island nation of the Comoros remain virus-free. South Africa has the most cases on the continent at more than 1,700. The shortage of testing capabilities across Africa has raised concerns that the real number of cases could be much higher. And we've come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. For Telesur English, I'm Katrina Goss, and thank you for watching.